Maple fusion, sounds of our history. How has music helped shape the past of Lethbridge's streets? Quirky and bold, with a weekend and blend. Pull up the chair, let the tale begin.
Today, Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History, is joined by Lethbridge singer-songwriter Joleen Draper, whose music is rooted deeply in both her family story and the southern Alberta landscape. Joleen's family tree is very interesting, as is her daily life, and it encompasses her family from southern Alberta, herself born in Lethbridge, and includes some Scottish lineages and bagpipes, stretching all the way across Canada to Nova Scotia. Her immediate family and the acreage she grew up on is full of life and the most interesting creatures, including parrots, quail, partridges, and a pet donkey. Growing up surrounded by animals, strong family values, and respect, Joleen discovered her own way of listening to the world and sharing it with us. She first found her voice through poetry, often scribbling down lines that came to her so suddenly, even when riding a lawnmower. That poetry grew into her songs, and by her early 20s, she was taking voice lessons, competing in Kiwanis music festivals, and studying at the University Conservatory of Music. Before long, her voice was her first true instrument, followed by others. From intimate performances at local venues like the Slice, the Owl, to winning an array of competitions, and Joleen has carried her music forward with creativity, courage, and a deep love for storytelling. For her, music is more than a performance. It's a way of keeping traditions alive, building community, and as she puts it, being a little shining light. Hi, I'm Shelley Kay with Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History. And today, this is exciting. I am joined with
Joleen Draper from Joleen Draper and the Inquisitive Few.
And I think we're going to have a little fun today.
Can't wait.
Maple Mixers. Before we dive deep, let's have a little fun. Do some Maple Mixers and get to know each other. Our first game today that we're going to play before we dive into all about you is called Which One of These is Not Like the Other? And feel free to touch, pick up, do whatever you wish with them all.
I don't know that you can do a lot with this one. I'm going to guess this one.
So
Am I right?
Which one you're going to guess? Is that one?
Yeah, this one's not quite. I'm not sure how you'd make a lot of sound with this one either.
Okay.
These two, they're going to be the lowest. Huh?
They're lowest. Okay.
For frequency and sound and what you could do. I don't know. I'm sure you could make some noises with this, but this is kind of rubber. It's not going to.
Well, and this is a tricky one, and I'm sorry.
I don't really know what this is.
You know, there's and that this is the tricky part. This mutes a violin.
Oh, okay.
So when you have somebody learning violin, you definitely want to get them one of these.
So this would be the opposite of everything else making noise.
Well, it would, because this. Do you know what this is? It's a washboard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're going to use the clothespin on
washboard.
Okay.
And there we go.
Okay.
So
the
there we
answer
go.
is this guy.
The answer is that guy. There we are. So that was our first game. And now our second game, we're actually going to involve our videographer, Addison.
Okay.
Because our bells make really good music. How about you, Addison? Whoa, I think... Woo! Okay, so this is called the lightning round.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you some questions of suggestions, and you have to answer fast like lightning.
Okay.
And once you've answered, you hit your bell.
Okay.
If you're not answering fast enough,
Okay, time's up.
there you go, time's up.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready? I don't know why I have a bell,
Hey.
because I'm doing all the talking. Okay, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Water or wine?
Wine.
The last song you had stuck in your head?
I don't know. It'll come back to me, but I don't know.
It's not good. You never know how the game goes.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite comfort food?
Something pasta with a lot of sauce.
Okay, something saucy. You're a saucy girl.
Something saucy.
If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I'd still be working with animals, working at the store.
Ooh, we're going to hear about
My
that.
pet store.
Okay, cats, dogs, or something else?
All of them, but I've always been I'd say birds, cats and birds.
Okay. Favorite season in Alberta?
Spring.
Spring. I'll do it. Hidden talent most people don't know that you have.
Pool shark.
Oh. Wow, you do have a lot
I won
of...
the ladies tournament in Lethbridge once.
Oh my
The only time I
gosh.
entered it.
The things I don't know
And I bought a
about you.
bookshelf
Oh,
with my
there we
$200.
go.
Yeah.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh. Probably something by Zeppelin or Joplin. Sometimes AC/DC too. What's another one? Or some rap. Because I do lots of rap, and then you can impress people when you do some like Beastie Boys Sabotage or something.
There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. If you could have dinner with any Canadian musician, who would it be?
Oh, like alive today or from
Anybody.
the past? Leonard Cohen.
Okay. One word your friends would use to describe you.
Outgoing.
Okay. Now, here is our super lightning section. Are you ready? 5 questions. Addison, are you ready? Okay. Pineapple or pizza? Yes or no?
Yes, 1,000 times over.
If you were a superhero, what would your theme song be?
Oh, what would it be?
Ah!
You.
Okay, what about if you were a superhero? Who would you be?
Somebody who could fly.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Maybe Superwoman. Somebody. I just want to fly.
Okay, fly. There you go. What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, all the stupid rom-coms at Christmas time. Hallmark rom-coms.
Okay, there you go. Oh, now this one, this is important. This is super important and very serious. Would you rather fight 1 moose-sized prairie dog or 100 prairie dog-sized mooses?
The one prairie dog.
One
'cause they don't
prairie
have the, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the
There you go. Okay. And I don't know if it's moose or mices or mice.
Moose.
Moose.
Just moose.
Okay. And last one, if you could instantly master any instruments beside what you play, what would it be?
Oh, I mean, probably fiddle or cello.
Oh, okay.
Cello, fiddle.
Oh, here we go. Let's get a fiddle.
Did I have fiddle and cello?
Okay.
I did some lessons in grade 8, but I never
Good
followed
job.
through. Okay.
Okay.
What would my theme song?
Yeah, what
I
would
mean,
you think?
I will survive. I will survive.
There we go. That's a good one. Now we're going to go between the lines, where the music, the memories, and the meaning of the story unfolds. Joleen, it's exciting to have you with us. There's so much I need to learn. Everybody's going to want to learn about you. And when we're done this episode, they're going to go, wow, you are amazing, because I feel that way. Okay.
Same thing about you.
Oh, I thank you.
Yeah.
Now, did you grow up in a musical family? Were there other people in your family that were musical?
Yep. Actually, the first one who got me onto the guitar was my Uncle Brian. And I remember growing up on my dad's side of the family. That side of the family was very musical. So there was always, my Uncle Brian and my cousin David were always bringing out the guitar by the campfires and any family get-togethers and singing songs. My grandpa was a really great singer, and he had his songs he loved to do. And I think when I was towards the end of high school, or maybe just out of high school, when I got my first guitar, and my Uncle Brian wrote out all the chords for me and was like, you need to learn this, and helped show me, how to get started. So yeah, it was always very musical. And I come from that side of my family. My grandma, Scottish heritage, and she was born in Nova Scotia. So there was always a lot of, fiddle and bagpipes, and music was a big, big part of our heritage.
And did you, when he brought forward the guitar, had you thought, gee, this is something, music is something I want to do?
It's something that I always wanted to. It's just that he gave me the good push to kind of, it was a little perplexing back then to learn if everything wasn't quite online at your fingertips to be able to look these things up. So having somebody write it out and show you how to make these chords and show you what to do was greatly helpful.
So he would have been probably your first role model.
Yeah.
But as you move forward in music, I'm sure there must have been others.
Oh, yes. There was Randy Schaefer was an amazing influence to me. He was my first bandmate, first guitar teacher, the one that really, really sat down with me and was like, you can't just be a vocalist. Let's teach you guitar. We need to teach you how to do this. And he would go through with a red Sharpie and mark all the chord changes. And he never wanted it. It was always choosing out my favorite songs or things I wanted to do, so it never felt like work. And he got me from the time I first met him and talked to him about music. A week later, I was singing at the Ton and Groove. Well, he had a show, so I was playing a couple songs opening up. And then a month later, I had my own show, and I had 2 45-minute sets, and I was playing at the Slice and in my first band, and it was pretty scary.
Quick.
Yeah, it was like in the course of like a month. It was scary at the time, but I'm happy I just kind of got thrown into it by him. He was phenomenal, just an incredible poet, an incredible musician, singer, guitarist. He was incredible. And somebody else I want to mention too, as far as mentors go, is Murray Nelson, because then after Randy, I was in a band with Murray, and both Murray and Randy were huge on time and keeping time. Every song we'd do, we'd break down the beats per minute. We'd all make sure we were in time for everything.
Wow. So you mentioned the word poet, and I know I've seen you and heard you and your wonderful works down at the Owl on Poet Night. And you mentioned earlier when we talked about poetry, and sometimes you're on a ride-em lawnmower at your parents' acreage. Can you share a little bit about that and poetry?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on an acreage, and I was out there with my brother, but there was a lot of times where I'd be entertaining myself and try to keep myself busy during the summers and during the days. And I wrote a lot of poetry, but I started off singing to my animals. I had a pet donkey, that was my baby out there, and I'd sing him songs or sing to the birds out there, and they all really liked it. And sometimes when I'd be writing, I wrote a lot of poetry. So yeah, sometimes when you'd be on the rider lawnmower and I'd be doing my daily chores of mowing the lawn and helping, I'd keep my book under a tree because you didn't have a cell phone on you to write things down. So when lines would come to me, I'd have to like pull over and write down my little bits and then keep on going. And just that drone noise in the background kind of helped to spark words.
Interesting. I would have loved to video that. Well, and it is interesting as a musician or a singer-songwriter is that when something hits you, it's like a writer of a novel or painting or artwork, you get lost in what you're doing. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a meeting I was supposed to prepare for, and I did not prepare because a song hit me. And it's hard to explain to people how that works, but you've got to go for it.
Yeah, you got to remember that one line, and you need to write that down because it might not be exactly the same. And once you get that going, it just spirals. Other ideas come afterward, but you can't ignore it and say, "Oh, I'll come back to that," because you might never remember that line exactly the way it was, and it just won't feel quite right and open up the floodgates to whatever comes next.
Absolutely. So do you have any favorite spots other than the lawnmower and the tree?
That was a long time ago.
Of course. But anything that, to do your creation, do you have a spot?
I like, well, when I go up camping past Beaver Mines, I have a spot by the Castle River, and I really like to write there and play guitar there. And it's just somewhere that's nice. You're sitting right on the river, go for a swim, and then sit in the open sky and fresh air, and it's a good place to write. I also love my times, like in my house, I have a nice little wood-burning fireplace in the living room, and some winter nights just having, maybe a glass of wine by myself and sitting by the fireplace and feeling inspired to write.
Now, sitting by yourself, this is very interesting, and I'd like to kind of tie this back into, you mentioned your acreage, your parents' acreage, and their animals and birds. And so you saying that sitting by yourself, I think there's maybe a few feathered animals with you, maybe some fur ones. Could you tell us a bit about your life?
Yeah, well, I grew up on an acreage just outside of the city, and we moved out there when I was about 5 years old. My dad has always, both my parents, my mom and dad always have loved animals. My mom is a retired teacher. She was at the university for a long time in the math department. And my dad had his own business before, refrigeration and air conditioning. But 30 years ago, we bought Petland Lethbridge. It was always nice. I had a pet donkey we got in grade 2. We had emu out there, and they still have the emu, peacocks, pheasant, duck. And growing up, I remember singing to the animals outside, or singing to my donkey who loved me, and he was my pet, and like hanging out with him. The animals at home in my house, I have a 34-year-old parrot.
And what is her name?
Emmy. Emerald, I named her. Yeah, I named her 1991 Emerald because she's bright green, but she loves music a lot. Birds really are musical creatures, and they love it. They love to listen to the radio. They love when I sing songs, and they love to gather around. And yeah, I have a couple cockatiels and a bunny, a cat, and a senior chinchilla.
Oh.
Yeah, so the animals, it's really nice how they connect with music, and when they all gather around and they're enjoying it, it's like I'm putting on a show for my pets at home.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. Okay, going back to instruments. Now, I've seen you play guitar.
Yeah.
Do you play any other instruments?
Guitar is my main instrument, as rhythm guitar especially. I have a mandolin at home that I've been playing around with and working on. Actually, I have a banjo too that I played wagon wheel on banjo this summer. So I'm like very beginner. And I have 8 harmonicas that I like to play. And harmonicas are a lot of fun as long as you know the right key. You get some freedom to do what you want. So yeah, there's some other ones that I'm dabbling in, but rhythm guitar is my main.
Sugar and facts. And now it's time for a little sugar and facts trivia treat to keep your brain dancing. And the trivia for this segment is, did you know that Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the famous German poet, once said, "A person should hear a little music, read a little poetry, and see a fine picture every day of their life." Joleen lives that now in her own way, blending her love of poetry, her music, and even the animals that inspire her daily life. So you've talked to us about writing songs, and poetry has been a big part of your life.
Yeah.
Is there a way to distinguish between what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Was it singing or poetry?
Oh, poetry for sure. I mean, I've always loved to sing and been singing along to songs all my life, and that's always been something that's a passion for me. But poetry was something, when I was younger that helped me with any tough situation or really exciting day, or just articulating my thoughts and getting them on paper. Or maybe if I had something that was heartbreaking, when I wrote about it and I could read that over and over again, it was a lot of therapy for me, and it always helped me. And it's a coping mechanism I've always used all my life, and I love it. Like, I look back, my poetic style has changed vastly. I still have my old poetry books and my first ones.
Oh,
and
do you?
Yeah, I thought about bringing them, but there's a lot of scribble in there. There's a lot of, some stuff is better than others, but it's something I've always done. And I had a creative writing teacher in my early days in college before I played an instrument, and his name is Richard Stevenson, and he was such an influence to me. And I remember I showed him a poem I had written for some guy at the time that had hurt my feelings, and I showed him this poem while I was in class, and he told me that I should learn an instrument, and there was a lot of music in my writing, and I had the ability, the potential to be successful with that if I did, and it stuck with me, and it meant a lot to me. And then years later, he saw my band play a couple times actually at Word on the Street, and he watched it and came up and he said how much he enjoyed it, and that was really special.
So it's interesting when people ask me about poetry, and they may know that I'm a singer-songwriter, but they say, "Oh, do you write poetry?" As if the two don't go together. Yeah. Have you found that people don't quite put together, unless they're a singer-songwriter or a musician, they don't necessarily get that poetry really is musical and turns into songs?
For me, listening to lyrics is such a big part of any song. Like, that's what really, I listen to the melody and what's going on, the instrumentation, but the lyrics are so important to me just because of my poetic background and what they're trying to say, and if they're taking, the easy predictable rhyme, or if they're going to surprise me and something's coming up. But I have talked to people. Some people don't listen to the lyrics, and some people don't hear that as much, and it isn't as, and I do think that there's a vast, some songs are much, much, much more poetic than others, like something Leonard Cohen would sing versus, or Joni Mitchell, versus a lot of some different, really overproduced music where it's written and they're just out to sell, make a buck, and have the chorus might not be saying a whole lot in some songs, not that, but just like some of the mass produced something. Yeah. So I think poetry it should be in music, and it is in a lot of the music, but I don't know that it's in all music. No, there's many things that might just have some hook that isn't that poetic.
Do you remember your very first performance?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Could you share that with us?
Yeah. So this was after I did voice lessons for the first time at the university, and we did a Christmas concert. And I chose to sing, many, many years ago, the first one, I chose to sing Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, which I love Fleetwood Mac. And I was terrified because this is the very first time I had sang in front of anybody. And my parents came, my brother came. I remember just being completely terrified going in there. And my voice teacher told me, because the way the theater was shaped, she said, just look at the wall between the exit signs. Nobody in the audience will know you're not looking at them. If you can't look at the crowd, just stare at the wall. And I did the whole time. I just stared right at the wall between the exit signs. And I remember asking, and things went well. I asked my family after if they could tell that I was just staring at the wall, basically, and they couldn't. So that was good.
That is good.
And then the other one, after that, there was some Kiwanis Music Festival performances. And then there was when I first met Randy, and I did the 2 songs opening for his show. And then I remember my first actual show, my first big show, where it was 2 45-minute sets, and that came really fast. I wasn't prepared to have that happen so fast, and it was pretty scary. But he had given me a letter the day before telling me how he believes in me, and he never would have put me in that position if he didn't know that I could do it. And he just a really, really beautiful letter that he had handwritten out. And I remember driving to the Slice shortly after it opened. It was a long time ago. And going, I think it was after sound check, but I was going to the show. I was driving in from the acreage. I was going from Highway 25 on the bend roundabout to Highway 3. And I remember the sun was setting, the sky was pink, and there was a Phantom of the Opera semi-truck that drove by. And I just remember that moment and thinking, the world will not end if you hit a bad note. You'll be okay. It will be okay. Even if you do mess up, nobody will know, and you'll be all right. And then I just felt some relief.
But I bet you did spectacularly.
It was so much fun. We both sang a lot of the songs, Randy and I, and we had a crowd dancing in front of us. And I remember getting off the stage and being like, wow, I'm going to do this forever. Like,
that was the turning point.
The best high, like just so much energy. And I just felt so good. And I was hooked forever. Yeah, that was.
And I've got to interrupt you for a sec. When you said it's the best high, it's something that unless you've been on stage or performing, or there's something, I almost have a goosey moment, even thinking those highs. Yeah. Can you explain how that,
it's just, it's really special to connect with the audience when you see whether they're tapping their toes or singing along to your original music, and they know the words to it and they're singing it too, or they're up dancing with you, and that energy bounces back and forth, and it just really, it feels so fulfilling. It feels like when it's something that you were born to do, and that it's part of me. Like, I would not be as happy as I am if I wasn't doing it. I'd be depressed. Right. it wouldn't be right. And times that I have gone through lulls and haven't been performing as much, or when I had surgery and I had my knee and I couldn't walk for a while and I wasn't playing for a while, I missed it dearly. And so it's something that it's just part of my DNA. I need to do it.
You had mentioned earlier about Lethbridge and how rich it is with everything, and the jams and the music scenes. Has it always been that way for you?
For the last 20 years, since I've been part of it, over 20, there's a real community. Everybody steps up. Like, if somebody has health issues, or somebody, there's been times where people have had their gear stolen or things have happened, and we always back each other. And there's a really it's a really strong community. You can go out to a jam at the Slice or the Owl, and even if you weren't planning on playing and you want to throw a band together, it's like, oh, there's 2 amazing drummers over there. There's like
Come on
2
down.
great bass players. There's you can make that happen because there's always like just so many great musicians, and we do support the local scene. Like when there's bands playing or when there's different events going on, we all try to make that be there for each other and make it more rich and
Well,
thrive.
and I think we also have groups such as the Allied Arts and then down at CASA. And if we think back to a few months ago from when this is airing, there was the end of the summer concert. And who would have thunk that having 1,700 people go to that event, and wasn't that a party?
It's just magical. Yeah, and Steve Ford's done such a great job with everything and everybody at the Allied Arts, and it's special. Like I don't even want to miss any of those outdoor CASA shows. 'Cause they're so much fun.
There is so much that's happening, and again, so many different people as well that have been kind of moving. Yeah, and it's those behind the scenes people that keep it moving or keep the mentorship happening as well.
And Terry with poetry too, Terry and Kat.
Absolutely,
and how much they
at
put
the
in.
Owl.
And it's just such a safe place for so many people, just so accepting for anybody, whatever level you are. You know, if you're a brand new poet or if you've been doing it for years, there's a lot of acceptance to get new people out and understanding that it might be scary getting up there on the stage for the first time, but everybody's there to support you.
So I'm going to ask you, my podcast being called Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History. Has music shaped your history, do you feel, or has it been just a part of your life?
It's given me, I'm a massively optimistic person, and I always have been, but I think always having that in my life has led to me just having good coping mechanisms and having that optimism and looking on the bright side and being able to even take dark times and put it into a song. Because sometimes the best times, you might not need to write a song. Yeah, you hope you do, but a lot of times, the times that are hard, that's when a song comes out because you're having a hard time and it's like, what am I going to do? I'm here by myself. I guess I'm going to write a poem or a song. And sometimes, it's shaped me, just making me a happier person and making me more optimistic and having just the community I feel that I have too with the other artists and musicians in town and knowing so many great people. It's definitely helped cultivate that.
And you've gone to so many different venues, and I'm sure I don't even know half of them, and I will miss zillions of them, but Slice, the Owl, but then you do festivals that are like Rib Fest, and there's the famous picture of Joleen Draper standing on a upright bass. And how do you change from one up to the other? And is there one you like better than the other, or is it just share with me?
We're doing every year too. We've done Pagan Fest at Galt Gardens, and that's really fun. They invite me back. We're at Nico Yuko Japanese Gardens on Sunday this year, and we're doing an Oktoberfest gig a couple weeks later, and so just some different things like that. As far as some would change like the set list and depending on what people want and what in the gardens and Japanese gardens, it's going to be a little more mellow set and just something a little more tranquil and not, some of the heavier songs we do. Yeah, we've done lots of Word on the Street in the past and some Canada Day celebrations and a car show earlier this year. I love playing outdoors. Outdoors is so much fun just to play on a stage outdoors and look at the sky and see the trees. But they're all special in their own ways.
And are there any challenges that you could share with people that perhaps aren't musicians? What challenges might you come across as a musician?
Vocal stuff is, my fingers are pretty good unless I'm playing an outdoor show when it's really cold outside and then your hands want to freeze up and they don't want to listen to you when you're playing guitar, especially when it's really cold. When it's really hot, it's challenging too, but I've done it before when it's freezing and my fingers won't cooperate because they're kind of locking up on me. Being a vocalist, just overuse of voice when you're practicing a whole bunch and singing for hours and hours and hours, and then you need vocal rest in between, and maybe you're at a festival and you're still talking to people. So it's something I've learned to be very mindful of with my voice and taking care of it and drinking enough water and doing all the vocal tips and tricks to try to to just be easy on my voice and not strain it, because there's been times where I've had a show and had a strained voice before, and that's kind of sheer panic.
Yeah. Is it going to come out?
Yeah. Like, oh no.
Well, this has been so enlightening because there's so much that you have inside of you, and the animal piece, the lawn mowing piece. I've talked to you about that after, but no, just kidding. The poetry, the music, it's awesome. Do you see younger musicians in Lethbridge carrying the torch for local music history in their own way?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. We have from what I've seen in the last even 5-10 years, like just even the last few years, there's a lot of programs going on for younger musicians. The schools are pushing it. There's a lot. There's concerts. There's I have friends where their kids are in band or taking lessons, or it just seems to be something more prevalent these days too, where children are exposed to that. So it's wonderful. Yeah, it's something, and they have unique styles too. There's a lot of different things coming up that I haven't heard before.
That is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It keeps it fresh.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things.
So, Joleen, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share with us? Things either about yourself or about music or...
I love to scuba dive as much as I possibly can. I haven't been for a while.
my
Last time I was in Hawaii, I went in 2019 3 times and held an octopus on me and swam around with him. It was just magical. And then the time before that in Mexico, I went on 9 dives in 5 days or something like that. So
where in
I love to
Mexico
scuba
were
dive.
you?
In just outside of Playa del Carmen.
Okay.
So just beautiful scuba there. And I was certified on a backpacking trip when I backpacked Central America. I was certified in Honduras. I was there for about 4.5 months. But so I love to travel too when I can get away. I've been to a lot of countries around the world, and I also love to ski as much as possible in the winter. And I also love playing pool is something that is a lot of fun too. And there's a lot of people I know from pool. Yeah, I've been doing that for years and years. Another thing I do with the store, like with Petland, is I do a lot of visits with kids and seniors, and I'm at a senior home on Friday, and I go to all kinds of places teaching people about animals and showing out the animals, and go to summer camps and have birthday parties, and that's really fulfilling. I like that too, because that's something I get to talk about the animals I'm passionate about, and tell them a lot of fun facts, and tell them about which animals need to have companionship and which ones get lonely and which ones need the exercise that they need, and things like that. So
cool. And we're going to learn more about your animals in just a moment when we get to Bringing It In with Joleen Draper. And so I just think this was a very exciting episode for myself. The only thing, I thought she was going to bring a boa constrictor.
a ball python.
Bringing it in. Let's switch gears and see what our guest brought in to share about their part of history. I'm Shelley Kay with Maple Fusion's Sounds of Our History, and this is going to be amazing. Seriously. I'm here with
Joleen Draper,
and
I have some very special family members to show you.
So that's our Bringing It In. This is going to be interesting.
So these are a couple of my senior family members in my household. Emmy Emerald, my parrot. She's a severe macaw. She was born November 1st, 1991, and I met her the day she hatched out of her egg when she was like that big. So we've known each other our whole life, and I've had her since I was a kid, and she's very, very important to me. And this is my senior cat, Tito, who he's 18. The two of them get along. He was raised with a bird since he was little, so he's very gentle, and he understands that Emmy's the boss.
And so now you brought some things.
Just a couple things, just a couple of their favorite toys, just because the cat has had this puppy since he was little. He's got a puppy and an elephant, and he carries it around the house, and he makes the funniest noises. I have some recordings of the sounds he makes. I can show you.
The dog.
Yeah, it's unlike any other noise he makes, but he carries it around. He takes it over to his food dish. He babies his puppy, and he's 18, and this puppy has been his. And then this is my parrot, has a toy that kind of looks like my cat. and she likes to beat it up. She beats it up and throws it around, and like this is her her little cat toy. Okay. So my cat, he's 18. He's a senior boy, but he's had his puppy. He also has an elephant at home. I forgot to bring his elephant, but his puppy and his elephant are his babies. Those are his toys. He carries them around. I've seen him put them by his food. I've seen him arrange them together, like touching noses. He even was carrying this around 2 days ago, and he was making the sound I'm going to show you. And when he looked up and saw me there, and then he stopped right away and dropped the puppy. He does it. It's like he's shy to do it in front of anybody. It's his baby noises.
It's like,
he
Mom,
makes.
this is between us.
Yeah, it's kind of his thing he does just with his puppy. But he carries it around and he makes this noise, and he's hilarious.
Okay.
But this is the noise he makes when he's with his puppy.
And this is the cat.
Yeah, Tito.
Interesting. And so that's their conversation that they're having back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Funny. One time I came upstairs, I was downstairs, and he had the two just nose to nose and arranged. He likes to put him by his food dish and by his bed, and he'll drag him. He'll even go into his little hut and drag his puppy in with her so he can sleep with him.
Interesting.
He's funny. Yeah. And Emmy, just like I said, my parrot just likes her cat toys and her dog toys to wrestle them.
And now you also have 2 cockatiels.
Yep.
And this is in your house.
Yeah, they're ones that I took home when they were I had brought the one white cockatiel to a senior home to go visit some seniors when he was a baby from Petland, and I noticed he was skinny and he wasn't eating enough, so I took him home to hand feed him, and same with the girl, and then now they're mine forever because they've been home with me.
You're not going back.
I was waking up in the middle of the night and hand feeding them and just checking on them all the time, and they're my babies. And I also have a bunny that. He's about 8 years old. He was found outside in September, and it was one of those crazy years. We had a snowstorm in September, and he's a lop-eared bunny, a domestic one, but his parents or his parents' parents were set free. So he was only about 10 days old. He was that big when I got him.
And now he is
he's about
big.
this big, yeah.
So who else do you have of the fur or feather?
I have a senior chinchilla, and her name's Thistle. I went to a kid's, an elementary class. Well, she's about 15 years ago, and one of the little boys in the kindergarten class said I should name her Thistle. And it was a very unique name. So she had a partner, but they're both pretty senior. So right now she's on her own, but she has her outdoor pen, and she has a big cage inside, and she's got another playpen. So she's got lots to keep her busy. And so I have my parrot, my bunny, cat, and 2 cockatiels.
This is cool. Well, Joleen, thank you for bringing it in and really showing your other side as well.
I brought this too just because I also do some artistic things with feathers, because I grew up on a family farm with lots of birds and beautiful feathers to work with. And so I collect their molted feathers where nothing's injured or hurt and wash them and make fascinators and earrings. And
wow.
Like
so I'm thinking, looking at this, don't tell me, is this the birds with the big feathers at the back? Oh, help me out.
Peacock.
A peacock.
Yeah. Peacock, and then guinea hen or guinea fowl. They're African. Okay. The spotted ones are theirs, and the rest.
Are those quail, guinea fowl, or no?
No, they're a little different.
Okay.
They're their own, but the African bird and then the peacocks. But there's a lot of beautiful feathers to work with peacocks, and my parents have had them forever. They're so much fun. I love the peacocks.
Oh, well, that is awesome, and that's all the time that we have today. But we will come back to this, and we want to thank Joleen so much for joining us. This has been awesome, and we will have her back, and we'll hear about all the different sounds that the animals make, or maybe perhaps the sounds or music that they respond to. So it is with absolute pleasure and gratitude I want to thank you, Joleen, for joining us today. And I'm Shelley Kay, Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History, here with
Joleen Draper. Thank you.
Well, we've just met Joleen Draper as she shared her story of poetry, song, and community here in Lethbridge, and how it shaped her life and her future. From her family roots to her proudest moments on stage, and even to the animals that fill her life and her home today. Her journey reminds us that music and animals has a way of bringing comfort, joy, and connection. Thank you for joining Maple Fusion Sounds of Our History. And if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow this podcast, share it with a friend, and continue enjoying with us on our next episodes. Until next time, keep listening to the music and the stories. They connect us all. I'm Shelley Kay. Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History.
Maple Fusion, sounds of our history. How does music help shape the past of Lethbridge's streets?